Catching up with Scott Kirkland of the Crystal Method on the Underground. It is Ned. Scott, how are you, man?
I'm doing fantastic, Ned. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Man, absolutely hyped to talk to you, Scott, and I love success stories like yours. I wanted to kick things off by asking you, what do you think would have happened if you didn't take that plunge back in the day, move from Las Vegas to Los Angeles, and take the plunge on your career? Where do you think you'd be now?
You know, that's a very good question. I have thought about it a few times. There's definitely moments when you're in the middle of something special, like Ken and I had for so many years, and you think, what if we didn't? What if I didn't follow Ken back to Los Angeles, and what if we didn't go in the studio that day and make that song, or didn't there even what if I didn't bring a drum machine into work one day to allow that first meeting with Ken to take place? Because again, he didn't know I was working on music alone, and I didn't know that he was working on music and on his own. So the day, that fateful day when I brought that drum machine into the break room, and he happened to walk in, changed both of our lives forever.
Yeah, no, it's a crazy story, and like I said, I love success stories like that. What do you actually think you'd be doing if you didn't pursue music? It's been a blessing, I guess, to get this far without doing music. What do you think if you had no music in your life? What do you think you'd be doing?
Wow, I don't know. I don't. It's just been such from an early age, I just always wanted to make music, and I love music, and so I don't know if I kind of don't want to think about it. No, I mean, I definitely, I think, Vegas, obviously, if I would have stayed in Vegas, and who knows? I mean, there's obviously a vast entertainment industry there that has been evolving and changing over the years, and maybe I would have got involved in that with some way, whether it was working in production or some other element within the sort of vast travel oops, sorry about that.
Oh, you're going off.
Yep. I have this lights on the timer. But maybe it would have been something in the tourism industry in Vegas. It's hard to say. It's evolved so much. I mean, I was throwing some parties on my own after Ken left, and I was basically hiring some local bands to come in and play, and I would hire the security and rent the sound system, and so the PA. So maybe it may have continued that in some way. Who knows? It's an interesting question, and one that would make for some interesting conversation, especially with some of my friends back in Vegas. But very happy that I did bring that drum machine into the work place that one day, and that Ken and I got a chance to chat about it. And as they say, the rest is history.
Yeah, most definitely is, man. Sounds like you'd be doing something in the entertainment industry somewhere down that path anyway. But let's throw back to the late 90s there, or the mid 90s. Scott, I discovered you through the Spawn soundtrack, the track that you did with Filter there. How did that collaboration come about?
Yeah, we had the same management at the time, and but there was a really great A&R person over at I think he was at the record company. I can't remember what the label was that put that out, but his name is Happy Walters, and he imagined this collaboration album between more traditional rock, heavy metal acts and electronic acts. So you have really great collaborations on there, and initially we were supposed to go into the studio with Filter and write a new song together, but Ken and I were working on our album Vegas, and we had sort of put all of our energy and attention into that. So they happened to get a copy of the very first track on Vegas called Trip Like I Do. And they Filter guys were really inspired by that. And we got a phone call, out of the blue from Richard Patrick. And he said, hey, love this Trip Like I Do track. Let's turn that track into, and he played us a couple of ideas that he had over the phone, and they just sounded incredible. And so we put together the stems and flew out to Chicago and worked with them on the putting the final touches on that track. So it worked out really well. I mean, it was a great, definitely this mixture. I mean, because it had both elements. A quintessential TCM with the cool liquidy synth and the big drums and the samples and stuff. But also so much of what makes Filter incredible. They're really his great rock voice, great big hooky riffs and melodies, and the end result was I think the absolute best of both worlds.
Yeah, it most definitely was. And it was just a special time for music back then in the late 90s sort of thing. And they're like two of my favorite bands sort of colliding together. Interesting that you flew out there to Chicago. I guess things have changed a lot now. Is most of it just done via email, or do you tend to work together when you collab with people?
Yeah, there is a lot of exchanging of files, definitely, especially in the last, 5 years or so. I have done some, but not as many as others, sort of, conversations like this, Zooms where, you're working on tracks together. I still prefer being in the room over all of those because, things are a little bit more spontaneous and more reactive when you're in the room with somebody so I could pick up a bass, or the person I'm collaborating with can come over and play on the synth or whatever I had brought into the studio. So
yeah,
so I definitely prefer in person, and many of the most of the collaborations on the trip out were in the studio. There were some where did receive files and did stuff, because it was still, sort of working on it during COVID, but I definitely prefer being in the room. Definitely. That's what I prefer.
Yeah, no, I think that would definitely be the way. It's just an interesting time, seeing as though you've been there since it's been a crazy evolution the last 25 years or so in it all. Man, changing things up to your Keep Hope Alive track. It's got a real sort of Prodigy vibe to it and that sort of thing. I was wondering, what are your sort of biggest influences music-wise?
Definitely, when I was growing up and I was a teenager, I loved heavy, brooding, rock and metal.
Yeah.
When I first heard Black Celebration from Depeche Mode, that was a game changer for me, and it really opened up, a whole new world of music that I had been keeping at arm's length just because I didn't really feel that it would fit into what I was into. And but I, as soon as I heard the opening track Black Celebration and the following track on that album, Flies on the Windscreen, it was immediate, and I was like, oh, this is dark. Bands like Massive Attack and Prodigy and Left Field were definitely artists, even some of the more trip-hoppy stuff, Portishead, stuff that had, elements of rock, electronic, music, and I always just gravitated towards something that had that unique sound, whether it was dark and brooding or in your face and energetic. There's another band that was definitely influential to us was Public Enemy, and the way they sampled and the rawness of that, it was definitely some of the stuff that we were listening to a lot. but yeah, I remember, hearing some of the early Prodigy stuff in clubs, that early Dust, Chemical Brothers stuff, that when they were still calling themselves the Dust Brothers UK, picking up some of those albums, those 12 inches. We've always gravitated towards music with big drums, distortion, that energy of that we always loved. I always loved in hip hop or rock, and then the elements of electronic music, New Order, Depeche Mode, Cabaret Voltaire, Nine Inch Nails, Nights Arab, Front 242, some of the more industrial stuff. So there's a little bit of all that stuff sprinkled into the pot when it comes to making Crystal Method.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely makes for that diverse sound there, Scott. And you featured on a whole bunch of movies as well, like I was talking about earlier, Spawn. Do you have a favorite?
Well, I think that one of the coolest scenes is the Replacement Killers, where the Keep Up Alive is at the it's a very opening scene. Chow Yun-fat comes and he puts a bullet down on the table of this, in a club, into this, and all hell breaks loose. Another one is definitely Tropic Thunder, when they're he's like, take him to the real shit, and all of a sudden they're on the helicopter going into the jungle, and their name of the game is playing. That's definitely a highlight for sure. So there have been some really cool ones, and of course the Spawn one. Just as how what an impact it had on on opening up our sound, opening up our band to other audiences, and sort of everything that came after that.
Yeah, the original Mortal Kombat back in the day as well. That was really cool.
Yeah, there's the Blade. There was a good scene in Blade where there's a lot of people, a lot of big fight scene in that. So. And actually, there are some that I haven't seen somehow. I think there's there's one or two that I still haven't. Gone in 60 Seconds. I've never. There's a scene in, I think Busy Child is in that, and I can honestly say I've never watched the movie. I don't know.
Wow.
I know that wasn't like one of these groundbreaking movies, but it was definitely a cool movie at the time, and I might have seen part of it. There's also Romeo is Dying or something like that, where I think High Roller or Vapor Trail's in it. But yeah, it's always, there was always one of those things that really helped keep us afloat and brought our sound to a different audience that may or may not have been able to find it through the normal channels. So it was, and video games as well. Something like FIFA 98 was a massive one for us as well. So I've definitely been very fortunate to have those tie-ins and to be able to have our music find their way into someone's home or into a movie theater where they would be able to experience it for the first time and then take something from that.
Yeah, it absolutely blows my mind that you haven't seen Gone in 60 Seconds. And like if my music was featured in that, I'd be all over it. I'd be taking the family along and friends and whatnot. But that's great. I suppose you've been in so many.
No, I mean it's not. I may have seen moments of it, but I've never seen the movie from beginning to end. And I don't. I think it was when it came out. We were probably on the road I've had plenty of opportunities to watch it. I just it's I don't wear it as a badge of honor. I just wear, it's just one of those things that it's not like I have something against the movie or anything. It's just one that and I probably should just take the time to, maybe I'll exercise some demons if I just go ahead and watch it. And actually just go through my own IMDb page and make sure that I've seen all of them. But it's definitely one that I need to finally check out. I mean, it came out, I think it came out in '97, the same year as Vegas came out. So, or maybe it was '98. I'm not sure. But but I definitely should check it out.
No, definitely. And speaking of checking things out, Scott, like here's something that blew my mind. Doing a little bit of research, I did not know this. You collabed with Tool's Justin Chancellor, is that right, for a project?
Yeah, he played bass on a track on the album The Trip Home, and the track called Cabin Pressure that I did with a very talented producer by the name of Matt Lang.
Yeah.
But we've also done a couple remixes together. We Justin is one of my best mates, and so we had a side project called Bandwidth that we
Yeah,
did a
that's what I'm
couple.
talking about.
Yeah, we did a couple remixes. We always there's a couple things in the pipeline as well, where we've started a couple tracks that hopefully one day we'll see the light of day. But he's pretty busy out there with Tool, and we actually met on the Big Day Out tour.
No way.
Yeah, back in 2007, I think it was, something like that.
Yeah.
And they were headlining, and we were we had a conversation briefly in the airport lounge in Auckland, but then we started talking at the after party after the Gold Coast show. Yeah. And we got along really well. And it turns out that his wife used to work with my management company. So there's all this, all our management company. So there was all this synchronicity, and we hit it off, and spent the rest of that tour, catching up for lost time, as some people say. We definitely had a really great, amazing time, and have been, tight ever since.
Yeah, that's amazing right there. And that's, again, talking about what we were discussing earlier, those two very vast, varieties in music clashing together. I haven't been able to find Bandwidth yet. I was looking for it last night, and I haven't been able to find it. Where could people hear these tracks?
Well, there some of them are mislabeled. There's if you look up Bandwidth remix, there's a Foles remix that we did of a track called What Went Down, and there's I think there's another remix that may be out there that of Pucifer that we did. And there's a couple things that I don't think they've ever seen the light of day. But those are the two that are coming to mind as of right now.
I tell you what, Scott, and talking to someone like yourself, and you're talking about things that aren't coming to the light of the day, it makes me think you're probably sitting on a whole bunch of unreleased music that would just blow people's minds. Is there anything else like that you could let us know about?
There is this a track that's been on the burner, on more been in the slow roaster for a few years now. It's a track that with Justin but there's all kinds of there's things that I've started that it's all getting the right timing of it. And I see something else here. I think that there's I don't think we properly trademarked Bandwidth when we released those mixes. So there's another artist. I think there's another band out there that's calling themselves Bandwidth, but
there is.
But yeah, the two that I would, anything that sounds like it would be Tool related or TCM related, that's definitely going to be us. So, but yeah, there's definitely, I definitely have been sort of precious about music and thinking of it, as a, as something that should be, worked on until it feels right. I think that, as sort of a clean out the cupboard sort of project thing, it might be a good idea to open the deep freezer and take some of those proteins and different veggies out and put them in stew and to get them going again. It's there's a shelf life on everything, and I think that would make sense to look at getting some of that stuff out there and finished for sure.
Yeah, 100% right there. And that's got me all sorts of excited, as you coming back to Australia in March. How excited are you to get back out here, Scott?
Oh, I'm super stoked. Yeah, I had such an incredible time this time last year. It was, I think it was this time. Last year I was on my way down there. So, it was way too long between the previous visit and last December's tour dates, and there was a lot of COVID delays in there, but super grateful for the opportunity. It's one of my favorite places to play, and we've always had great crowds, and the audiences down there and the people down there really appreciate the effort to travel down there and show up and so when I, heard that there was an opportunity to come back, I was immediately into it, and we started putting the dates together. So, tickets are available now, I believe, and I think most of the shows sold out last time I was down there. So, and this time there's not going to be, knock on wood, no disturbances in the force, if you will, and I'll be down there with a brand new set and lots of new music to play, and really super excited about it.
Oh, yeah, love that right there. You are, of course, heading our way. I've got the dates right here. March 1st in Sydney, the 2nd in Brisbane, March 6th in Adelaide, 7th in Melbourne, and wrapping things up on the 9th in Perth. You can grab those tickets at metropolistouring.com. Scott, thank you so much for taking time out and having a chat with me.
Thank you so much for speaking to me. And where are you about? Where are you in?
Oh, man, I'm closest to Melbourne.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully I'll see you at the show.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Sounds great.
All right. All right. Cheers. Take care.